Welcome to Seeking Focus, episode number 27.
Welcome to Seeking Focus, a podcast that provides photographers and videographers with a place to critically compare technology, share ideas, and enhance their skills.
On this episode, I'll have a chat with, I'm actually running alone. Evan did last episode, so this time around I'm going to run solo as well, and we're going to have a chat with Oshi from Business Consult Group. Oshi has been running a business for a while now, and she's been helping other businesses achieve very best within their industry. So today's talk is more focused on just general discussion on business. I'm helping Oshi with few videos and other things to take to market and promote herself, and so this is actually part of this. I'm learning a fair bit of business, obviously etiquette and other things, to obviously expand my own one by one media, and I'm hoping obviously to get really good pointers from Oshi. Working with her is great to be able to get a better idea of the market overall, target certain clients, how to invest within your business, and other things as well. Oshi's website, if you want to have a quick look, it's businessconsultgroup.com.au, and she's also on social media like Facebooks and Instagrams. So Business Consult Group. So listen in to the discussion today, and I hope you enjoy it. If you got any questions for myself or Oshi, feel free to message me, and we can take it from there. So without further ado, let's have a chat.
I'm just loving how you see my world all of a sudden. It's great. Cheers.
Cheers, Oshi. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
It's hopefully this will break the ice a little bit better for us, both of us. Been running my business for a while, and I guess been thinking about the component of employing people, right? Mm-hmm. If I do employ someone, what are your thoughts and your understanding on upskilling the team? You know, giving them extra skills to potentially give me more back into the business. Give me more information on that.
Well, you hit it on the head, really. You want them to give you more. If they don't have the skill or the nurturing or the training, how can they give you more? So the point is that 75% of employees actually indicate that they're more likely to stay in the workplace if they feel nurtured and upskilled offered to them. But only 25% of companies actually offer that.
Yeah.
Which is a poor figure.
I think, I'm pretty much noticed the same thing. After COVID, a lot of it dropped off because people are sort of looking for budgets and this and that. Is that true, do you feel? Or do you think like COVID
I don't know about COVID, because around COVID, a lot of people got the grants, etc. to do all of this. I think it's now when we're experiencing recession and interest rates and craziness, and we had the supply chain issues and stuff like that. So my question is, what does it cost you not to? All right. So if you don't upskill your sales team and you have very poor sales figures, how do you tackle economy with that? If someone calls you to obtain a business and they get the worst customer service, how's that helping you dealing with today's economy?
Yep.
My question is, what it costs you not to. But if you're concerned about a big cash flow outflow straight away, there's so many free resources out there. There's so many bite-sized training they can do. Anything to start with. Take them under your wing. Mentor them. Anything but leave them. Not knowing what's going on, or without the skill.
Looking after your employees and showing them that you care, it shows them that obviously there's a long-term career there, the long-term business goals.
It's the way you articulate that, right? So if you don't actually share your vision because you keep your cards to yourself, don't give too much information because you're scared they're going to take your IP and run and work for someone else, they're most likely to do that anyway. So you spend time on paying someone a wage or even a subcontractor for not knowing what they do, wasting your time and not progressing with your vision. So if you don't want to straight away take big expensive training programs, then communicate, teach yourself. But if you don't have faith in them that they will stick around, you probably hired wrong. So you need to look at your hiring processes more so, and your candidates you attract.
Yeah, okay. Give me more information on, I guess, a lot of people starting up a business, right? What a lot of people asking themselves, or why, why going into business?
It's crazy, actually. I think that social media has a lot to do with the bullshit we're seeing right now. So every ad, if you looked at one ad, you're going to be targeted with the same sort of type of crap. And it's all about, watch me in front of my jet, look at me burning money. It's that easy to have a business. I call bullshit on that. So what I can see is a massive influx of young people. They go, I want to start something. What do you think about a vodka line? I go, okay, tell me more. Oh, I have a label. Really? So I'm asking the tough questions of why vodka line? It's the most saturated alcoholic line you can go into and the most competitive one. Why a label before you actually validated that your idea is valid? Go to the market and actually see who's selling it, who your competitors are, identify a point of difference. Think, do you want to work your ass off with no holidays or sickies or superannuation for at least a year or two before you see profits? And then go, am I starting the business for the right reason? Most people will call us. Unfortunately, not. And they fall for the hype.
Yeah, there is. The social media is a big, I guess, look at me, look at me, look at me.
People literally burning money on the ads these days and standing in front of the jet.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, what are we selling? The 1%ers will be able to do it because they came up with some big tech idea that within a year will be bought by Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Most of us don't. The world is made of probably 92% of small and medium businesses. In Australia, 84% don't survive the first 4 years.
Yeah.
It shows you that there's an issue. They get an ABN and a website and a label. They never stop and say, have I validated? Have I used another perspective? Did I do a focus group? It's an issue.
On that note, what if I'm starting up a business, what are your thoughts on doing first? So do I do my website first? Do I validate my idea with obviously someone like yourself?
100%. You don't even need to do it with us. I'm probably costing myself here, but you can do it yourself. All right. So first of all, validate your idea.
What do you mean by that? Give me more information.
Don't go just with your gut feeling. Don't go into business because you think I can do better than my boss. I'm sick of 9 to 5. Have a look at what your niche, what market you're about to embark on. How many people are in that market? Right?
So do
What
your
is your
market
point of
research.
view? You can do your own market research. You can then come up with some assumptions, put a package together and do a DIY focus group. Get some peers, get some people that you trust that have your best benefit in mind and outlay the plan and look at reactions, record the sessions, go back to say, do I need to tweak it? The reaction wasn't what I expected. Be open to hear it. Put the ego aside and be open to hear it. But don't just go with 7 steps for 7 figures. Don't just go with within a year I'm going to stand in front of a jet. You need to know how much you need to outlay. You need to know. We had hundreds of people coming to us in the last 5 years and say, I have 20 grand. Will that be enough to start a business? Potentially, if you've been doing this and you're as equipped as some of the guns out there, you might. But if you're a young person going into business and have no network, haven't validated your idea, this 20 grand will be gone on the first consultant who will take you on and say, yeah, that's great. Let's run with it. I do a website for 8 grand. You need to really go back to basics and understand why you're doing it and what you're doing need to be validated.
Yeah, I think I know a few business owners, and to be honest with you, I see them working 20 out of probably 24 hours because they sleep for about 4 or 5 hours and they, deal with sales, they deal with, marketing, they deal with, all sorts of different components. And yeah, it's such a hard.
It's not what you're going to business
That's
for.
exactly right.
You want to have flexibility. You want to take the holidays. You want to, and you should.
Yep.
But then you need to be open to get some help.
Yeah.
I think you asked me a while ago about sales teams. If I want someone to sell for me. In today's day and age, you can probably streamline most of your sales process online. You literally can have a process where appointments get booked with you remotely without a person actually doing this. You know, everything is technology able right now.
True.
So let's take the sales out of the table, but you need to know what you're selling, and you need to know how to articulate it from a marketing perspective so people will buy in. What are you offering? Okay, have a discovery session with clients. I know a lot of people say, you know, we'll give you 15 minutes to see if you can qualify to work with us. Excuse my language, but fuck you. I reached out for a service. You only want to qualify me from financial perspective to know if I can afford you. I want to know if we are a match.
Yeah.
Right? So when you do this streamline of your sales process, think what you're giving at the end. What's the end game?
Yeah.
I give an hour for people because I think even if they can't afford to work with me, have an hour of asking any question they want. I'll give them anything that I can answer on the spot. Right? At the end, they can walk away and have all the answers in their hands and try have a go themselves.
Yeah.
Right? So what are you offering? Streamline your sales process. All of this is super important. Then all of a sudden, if you're not chasing clients regularly, and you put it via technology or via LinkedIn or Sales Navigator or list of data, then it's already hours of selling that it's off the table. Now you can focus on delivering.
Yep.
Okay.
It's so many moving parts to it, I guess. It's you kind of, you know, when you're starting up a business, you don't really think about half of this stuff. So, you know,
it's all the
validating it with, you know, with with your family, friends, people like yourself. It's such a huge benefit, I think, you know, I mean, just to get that idea to see if you're thinking straight, I guess, you know. Hey, with when you do sort of kick something off and you do obviously start making some money, what are your thoughts and ideas on how much should you invest back into the business from the profits? Like, what are your thoughts?
First of all, the idea that you're asking me how much to invest back, that shows how forward you are with your thinking. I am appalled sometimes to see some of my clients that finally making huge profits after they start working with us for the first year, and all they care about is that Porsche or the Rolex they wanted to buy, knowing that they worked so hard to get those profits in, but they have no contingency plan on how to continue growing those profits. So I say, don't let money burn a hole in your pocket. Start thinking about, relative to your business or your industry, I normally say between 15 and 25% of your profits should go back to the business. And you should consider, is it for buying a new machine that will make your production a bit faster? Will it be towards a marketing campaign to launch a new product or to enhance the sales that work really well to get a bigger audience? But always invest back, because that's the difference between companies right now that took the profits out willy-nilly when they had them, and now we have recession and they go, shit, we have no money. Right? So always have money ready to invest back into the business, because if you do it consistently for years, you're going to see less fluctuation.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, so you know, when you're on the high of your sales, you go and pull the money out, and then there's a downturn, you go, shit. And you might take some more money out of your savings and put back in the business. Just to avoid those fluctuations, always put money aside to invest back in the business.
With myself having a videography business, photography business, I do. It's just nature of the beast, I guess. It, like every single year, every 6 months, a new camera comes out, something microphones come out, and you kind of go, oh yeah, I want it.
You just love your gadgets.
You know? I do love my gadgets, and but like,
but not like me. You actually use them to their full potential.
I do.
I buy them and I go, I don't know how to operate them.
True. Look, I've got probably 10, 11 drones now, and every single one of those drones I use it for something else. But what are your thoughts on actually, I guess, investing back into the business? But like, would you recommend people investing, say, all right, every 6 months, say, I've got to buy something, or I've got to invest it into the people, into the business, into physical things, 12 months, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you need to kind of think about the cycle, right? So you say, okay, I bought a new drone. My thinking as a consultant straight away is saying, how do I tell the world I have a new drone that can do so much more in my business? So for me, every new equipment should, in your niche, should reward with a marketing campaign to show how amazing it works, and target the audience that's most likely to use it. So I've seen you doing amazing videos in warehouses or
Yep.
vineyards or doing some amazing work. So target that audience with that new drone
Yeah.
and show them capabilities. Go to a vineyard of people we know and do a beautiful shoot there and use that as your marketing campaign. So investing it and not telling anyone about it,
Yeah, it's probably
for
not
me,
the
it's a
best
bit
idea.
of a waste.
Yeah, you're right.
If a tree falls, do you hear
Yeah.
the noise?
No, it's true. It's very
but
true.
you bought an amazing camera or amazing drone. Show its capability, because you know a lot of people will not know what your technical capabilities are, and all
Yes.
you have to do then is to physically talk to them about it, and that's where your 24, 25 hours going into convincing people that what you do is really great, while you can demonstrate it with one incredible video that I've seen.
It's true. It's
So
true.
the money need to, after you invested in the machine, the money should be invested in a marketing campaign to show people what it can do.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's a great idea.
I'll stop bashing you now.
What are your thoughts on, I guess, diversity into your business? So the importance of diversity, and explain to me, what do you mean by diversity? So what, in your thoughts?
What your initial idea was,
Yeah.
your initial setup was, you master that, you're doing it really well, start thinking of diversifying for times when that structure won't suffice.
So,
So for example, I'll give you an example. Years and years ago, we started a material handling company, and the model was strictly B2B. So we don't sell to the public at all.
okay.
Then we found that in Melbourne, South Australia, New Caledonia, and many places in the world, it worked really, really well. We were shipping the stock all over the world. One area it didn't work that well and we didn't have strong partnerships was in Sydney. So I thought, I'm missing on a market share here. So we actually decided to open operation directly, selling directly. We didn't burn anyone because there was no presence there. And we decided to go directly to the market in Sydney. And that automatically changed the balance of the income we were getting.
Okay.
Right? We looked after our B2B clients, but where they couldn't operate, we were filling up the gap. So we diversified there. In simpler terms, in client terms, don't call yourself just tiles. Don't go into a business and say, we only doing tiles, because the natural progression of that industry, for example, is that they're going into floorboards.
Yeah, okay.
And all of a sudden you see a lot of tiling companies offering plantation shutters. So they're diversifying in markets that they can identify, giving them potential income that they might miss out on. Okay, you see a lot of racking and shelving companies started by doing massive warehouses, and massive warehouses that came to them in a point of build. At the same time, they were building the offices. So the smart companies that thought this is a chance to diversify say, we are an interior company, but we're also a warehouse company. So all of a sudden, they're getting the two ends of the business. Okay, but they had to adapt. They had to diversify to get that success, and all of a sudden, the client base literally doubled.
Yeah.
That's
From,
diversifying.
from my own perspective, I guess, I actually diversified within, like during COVID, for instance, right? Where there was a number of different clients said, hey, can you come in with your 360 camera, for instance, and then shoot a 360 panoramas, or walk through virtual tours. So from my end, I sort of did that, and I guess thinking of different things, it's kind of hard as well. You know what I mean?
But you look at you in drones as well. That's diversifying from your initial comfort zone.
Yeah.
I mean, you went and taught yourself how to operate. You got multiple equipment to help you go out to market.
And not mentioning
Now-
certificates and
But
everything
exactly. But now you need to diversify the services to the world so they know about it. Right? Because if I call you, before I knew you and I just look you up, I would call you to do a shoot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know about the setup you have or the equipment you have or the fact that you can do drones.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to tell the world, not just diversify, but actually tell the world you're diversified.
Okay. I'll definitely look into that. To build a support team in tough times, what would you recommend on that? What would you say, hey, do I still spend money on that support team and doing whatever, or do I sort of crack down and obviously try to, head down, bum up kind of thing, and just keep
Well,
working?
it depends. Do you want to be your friend who does 24 hours a day work in a business that's supposed to give him freedom? So what I do, I literally look at my shortfalls, and I'm very good in saying I can't do that. So I will go to the market and or hire someone that can fill in these shortfalls or pressure points that I have. Yeah, English is not my first language. So when it comes to copywriting and marketing, I need someone to take my vision out.
Yep.
I know what I want, but I don't know how to do it. So I will hire people to fill in those shortfalls. But not many people can afford buying and hiring people full-time immediately. Some might not even be able to afford part-time. But we're in a market that has a massive outreach for subcontractors and virtual assistants that can do a wonderful job. But you need to take the time, like you do when you're looking for an employee, to find the right match. Do they really have the skill set that you need? Or is it you're just hiring a new secretary that will help you do paperwork that you don't necessarily, it's not a massive pressure point for you.
Yeah.
So look at remote help. I love to keep it in Australia because I found that it's easier to communicate in real time with someone that actually gets you and understand the language and can communicate to your target audience in their language.
Yeah.
I find it's important.
Okay.
But it
It's a
doesn't
lot
mean
of
you need
information to
to
absorb.
It is, but it doesn't mean that you need to go straight away full-time employment, but you should definitely plant the seed for that, because that's how you build stronger long-term team.
So having obviously that good team and is the key. Why do you think people leave? Like then, I mean, other than obviously personal reasons, what other reasons would people leave?
If they can't see the vision, if you can't communicate the long-term goals with them or their potential growth within your company, they're most likely to leave. If you don't nurture them, if you don't develop them, if you don't upskill them, they're most likely to leave. If you can't communicate or inspire them, they're more likely to leave.
Yeah, okay.
And if you renege on promises over and over again, they will leave.
Yeah.
Good people need to know. Look, good people love to be built. They like to lead, but they like to be led as well. They need a structure. And you need to provide it. So if you go there and thinking, I don't know, we should do something tomorrow, but I can't quite. What do you think? You iffy. You lost them. They need to see some concise vision. So before, again, it goes with validating the idea. Before you even go and hire people, what do you want from them? Where do you see their journey with you? Where can you take them? As long as you know that, you're most likely to communicate it for one way or another with them. So it's important to know that first.
Yeah. And I think what we mentioned that in the past as well and previously, I guess underpaying your team or your staff. I mean, that's a big thing too. If they obviously, 99% of people will probably be there for the money, let's be honest. You know what I mean? And it's not just money, but it's the actual diversity of obviously working and you enjoy what you're doing. I mean, that's what I do. I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy meeting different clients and going into different places and flying my drones.
But I always say to my clients, don't think that they come from where you are. Your employees will always look at you and look at your car and think you're lucky and think that there's always going to be this. So don't pretend for a second the pressure points that they go through economically. At the same time, they're not always going to divulge that. So you need to kind of read between the lines. But generally speaking, if you have incredible communication with them and you have clarity, you kind of get to know them a lot better to know what motivates them. Once you get to what their motivational factors are, you might hear that it's more about the positive feedback. It's more about giving them autonomy to make a decision, for example, that makes them want to stay. Money is always important. But if they say, hey, listen, give me autonomy on this project because I can take you to the next level, but you don't know what you're doing because I've done it for 20 years. I know what I'm doing. You lost them. But if you say, hey, I'll let you drive this one. Let's do a case study when you're done. Let's do the KPIs to see what it yielded for. If it's what you promised me, man, this section is yours. That autonomy will outlay any financial initial
Yeah, okay.
need that they have, because you're giving them something
The
to
knowledge,
be proud of.
the knowledge and wealth
Yeah.
of knowledge.
Or taking their knowledge, or opening your mind to another perspective. A lot of people don't. A lot
you're
of people
right.
say, you know, even some of my clients, when they first called me and reached out because they need help, you know how many times I go, listen, Missy, I've been doing this for 30 years. You fucking picked up the phone and called me.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have a
listen
problem.
up.
So we can do this dance for another 3 months
Yeah, no, that's right.
of retainer, or you can tell me now what the problem is and let's fix it. All right? That's why I love working with men. It's so much more fun to crack.
Yeah, you just tell them how it is, mate.
But you have to. I mean, it's your money and your time. You know? And I want to do something I'm proud of. So if we're both not getting what we want, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's so true though. It's like, you know, a lot of people go there for money, but you know, like there's been a number of times where I had people come in to see me and say, hey, I'm a student, can I help you with anything? And they just want the knowledge. They just are hungry for the knowledge. So
you can be that person who goes, I don't know if I want to give it because they might take it and
Yeah.
work for someone else.
Well,
Yeah, they might.
It's so true.
But you might tell them, hey, there's a piece of the business I can work with you on and I can give you autonomy on. And if they already came to you and made this initial interaction, there'll be someone that you can read between the lines who will be jumping on an opportunity like that.
Yeah.
So if we make it, set KPIs, if we make it to that level with you running those projects, I can then offer you A, B, and C.
Yeah, true.
But if you don't communicate that and you hold the cards to yourself because you're scared that people would leave you, you're never going to progress, and you're going to do 24 hours a day.
In this case, that sort of brings me to the next point. You know, don't be the boss, be the sort of the leader, the you know, like it's just more about sort of, you know, don't delegate, just don't handball.
Exactly.
Delegate, you know,
Delegate.
just give people power and then see
give
where
them
that
autonomy.
takes. Yeah.
Give them that sense of status. You know, and status doesn't always come just for money. Status, you know, I say to my leaders that I work with on my programs, you have no idea how crippling it is to lose status or not having autonomy versus you walking past the office and say, Bob, don't think I haven't seen what you've done. Well done, buddy. That feeling that Bob is feeling right now is worth a lot of money to you later on.
Yeah.
But it's the empathy and the right thing to do that I want everyone to operate with.
Yep.
At the same time, if you walk past as a past comment and say, you fucked up that sale, Bob feel physical pain. Physical pain, and he won't stay with you.
I guess, you're 100% right and totally agree. And I mean, look, I've got 2 kids, for instance, myself, and with the younger, you know, you encourage them, you sort of give them that sort of extra thing, and you know, Adam, you did fantastic, you know, you did this such a good job, and it kind of relates back to the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
It's like, look, it's you want to grow your people. You want to grow your people because they're going to be your legacy. Right? You want to have you want to take those holidays, you want to have that freedom. You can't do it by yourself working 24 hours.
True.
Right?
Yep.
And if you want to put trust, hey, sometimes your heart's going to get crashed. Sometimes your kids are going to disappoint you.
More than once.
And sometimes your employees are going to disappoint you. Is how you deal with it. Do you then sit with them and kind of bash them and you go, okay, what did we learn from this?
Yeah.
How are we going to make sure this is never going to happen again? And what can we do to make this relationship work better? And you know what it all goes down to? Communication.
Correct, 100%.
In everything.
I think communication is the biggest part that
it's the massive part.
You know, when you get really busy, the communication goes down. You know what I mean? Drain.
It needs to be something that a leader never leaves behind. It's how you reprimand. It's how you have a tough conversation. It's how you reward someone. It's how you're having a clear, concise idea of what you want people to do. It's how you're showing your vision. It's in everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's a huge part of running a business to be able to be that leader and communicate what your vision is and communicate what, you know, hey, we want to reach this goal in 2, 3, 4 years time, whatever it is going to be.
Take it even further of what reaching this goal means. You know, what reaching this goal means for this organization, but also for you as an individual who helped me get there.
Yeah.
So to communicate that, it's not just about, hey, if we reach KPIs, I will have a better car. that's what their mind will go to.
Yep.
You need to illustrate and explain what reaching that goal means to us as a group.
Since we're talking about the leaders and sort of, and what, give me one, all right, give me two maybe points. What do you feel like a good, strong leader is? You know what I mean? What's their, like what's the important thing to be a leader? You know what I mean?
Well, number one is communication. Number two is, I always say, leave your door open and your brain open. Mind open and door open. I don't like authoritarian leaders. Sometimes they might be needed in sort of stock market environments I worked with, that they were more authoritarian. But even so, when I identify those authoritarians, it wasn't their teams that were the winning teams.
Okay.
And if they were, it will be a point of time where he pulled the whip out. I think if you nurture your team and have this balance between an integrator and an administrator or a producer, you show by example. You know, as a leader, you need to show that you will walk the mile.
Yeah.
That you will not micromanage them, but you will do the hours with them if needed until they're ready.
Yeah.
It's empathy is everything. You know, the way you communicate as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that sort of brings me to the next point. Learning with empathy and trying to put yourself in their shoes, and how everything progresses. It's a really big thing, though, isn't it?
Let me tell you, a good communicator put himself in everyone's shoes, not just the team that's under him. It could be the CEO above him as well. If you don't know where people come from, the worst thing that we do in today's day and age is we assume. Once you assumed, you lost the conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
And my saying is, assumption is a mother of all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't assume, correct?
Don't assume. And we kind of, that gibberish writing. I always do it in my classroom. So, you have those writing on Facebook and it says, if you can read that, you're a genius. But all it is that our mind reading the first and the last letter, and it makes up the middle.
Yeah.
But when we do that in real life, in communication, we do it even more so. We're listening to the first word, we assume where the conversation is going to go, and from then on you just think about, how do I prove I'm right, how do I prove that my point is more important, etc. And we stop listening.
So that's
right. So our leader need to kind of say, no, I need to be quiet for a second and listen, so I can actually hear what they're saying and not just assume I know what they're saying. And to assume that the person in front of you also make a lot of assumptions. And then articulate yourself better. That doesn't leave any room for imagination of what you're actually saying. You're actually saying
and it comes back to that sort of communication point, doesn't it?
Everything.
Yeah, it's
everything.
You have to be like, if you have your meetings and you going ahead to say, all right, this is my vision, and and this is what I feel we should be at. Have that empathy, have that knowledge, get your people to input. Hey, what about this? What about that?
Anyone has a good idea. Does anyone can bring a solution to the table? Many managers don't do that because, God forbid, particularly in sales, someone who's been a gun sales rep and you get promoted to be a sales manager, it's the most difficult transition to make because all of a sudden you might have a team of people that hit double the target you used to hit when you were a sales manager. And like it or not, your subconscious will take you into this defensive mode and not a leader mode. So all of a sudden, if you go, hey, it worked really well for me if we went for this target audience and if we did A, B, or C, sometimes a sales manager that come from that background will go, oh, no, let's do it my way, right? Because they're going to kind of hinder the process themselves because the ego is a bit bruised. So a good leader kind of put all of that aside and go, hey, that could be a really good idea.
From experience, do you find that what we just discussed, do you find that sort of, and this is probably a little bit off topic, I guess, but the age is sort of, it's a big component, like the younger bosses sort of a bit more empathy driven / or the older bosses kind of the other way?
They just have a wealth of knowledge available to them that probably our older generation don't have. I mean, they know where to find the resources to help them grow. They know what certificates they need to do. They read and watch all the blogs and watch all the vlogs and all the information that gives them what they need to do. And they look up to the Silicon Valley as a style of business, which is quite, laid back and lying on the
bean
floor,
bags and
bags
whatever it is,
and have fun, and they understand balance a lot more than we do, and they demand that balance in the workplace. So when an employee in their team want balance, it comes natural to them that it needs to happen.
Yep.
Which my generation is like, your balance is not my balance. So how do I preach balance?
Yeah, and I think being a good leader, it's noticing that though, isn't it? Like you can identify what drives people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You get the time to, if you get the time to know your people and what the motivation factor is, you're a good leader. And then commit to kind of take them through this mentoring loop.
Yeah.
All right. And you
Totally
mentioned, delegating before, and that's another really good point that make a team player a strong player or cripple him in his future performance.
Yeah.
When you go, hey, this is the project we have, you need to give it by the 27th, go get it done. That's humble. But if you create that mentoring loop where you set milestones of, I'll touch base with you to see that we're right on target, and if you have any questions in between, keep asking me. Let's get clarity of what the task is, and then you kind of go around the loop and make sure that not wait until the 27th to go, you fucked it up.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Right? So
I guess the time frames are very important in the business too, isn't it? Like, hey, let's have this
you
by
can
Friday.
have the same time factor, but you just need to think, what do you do in between? Do you just send it out and say, get it done? Or you properly delegate and mentor them to get to the right solution at the end?
Yeah.
You create this structure that every job that gets delegated need to be followed ongoing with any industry. And to me, it's delegating versus handballing.
It does sort of relate to any industry, like you said. It's a very, what we're discussing here is a very general sort of rule. It can be used for videography, it can be used for a factory operations, or even skyscraping offices or whatever else. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's what sort of, it's a big deal from people can learn this pretty much anywhere, any industry, anywhere that sort of you have employees or people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Anything you need to get done needs to have a certain structure on how it's getting done. And having those milestones to see if it's getting done correctly. So you can correct sort of quarter of the way, not at the end. I always say to my team as well, if I ask you to do something in 2 weeks and we have full clarity and we have milestones in between, if you're stuck, let me know. But my pet hate is we're getting to the end of the 2 weeks and they present something totally off what I've asked, but didn't ask the questions in between or didn't come to the timelines in between. I'd rather you ask me 100 questions and get it right than ask me no questions and waste 2 weeks of giving me something I didn't ask for.
Totally agree. And look, running your own business in this day and age, it can be a very lonely place if you don't have the right people, though, isn't it?
It is. It's, particularly if you're in a startup, and you just went with your guts and you didn't go through the whole validation or focus group or market research. When you start it and it's not sort of happening like your vision kind of thought you're going to have, and all of a sudden it's not like that ad when you're straight away burning dollars, you kind of feel kind of defeated. And I work primarily with men, so 98% of my clients are men, and I find that they find it so difficult to admit that something needs to change or something is not working. And it leads to a lot of depression, which is really concerning to me. And yes, startup or running a business as a sole trader or a sole entrepreneur is so lonely. So I say, validate, do the market research and everything, but also build your support network. So with me, it was my mentors. So I had mentors I worked with since 2003. And when I make a change in the business or when I launch a new one or when I started BCG, I called them all over and I wanted to hear brutal truth from all of them, right? Because I knew that I have other perspectives there of people that I really, really respect. And they come from every part of business, from accounting to marketing to sales to just being my husband as well. So it's really important to have people that know you really well and not reject that feedback. Be open.
I've noticed exactly the same thing. And as much as, personally, I love my wife very much, family and everything else, sometimes it can really bring you down when they sort of have a really, how can I say this in a kind of nice possible way? Like a negative thing for you, you know what I mean?
But that's the thing, that's communication on their end as well, because you can always give the feedback without being soul crashing.
Yeah.
And it's the same with you and your employees. As I said, you can go to Bob and say, Bob, you fucked up that sale. Or you can say, Bob, let's sit down and see how could we've done it differently so it doesn't happen again. Let's have a beer, wine,
talk about
tequila.
Talk about it.
And talk about how we can do it differently. And look, sometimes you're going to work with people that simply won't hear it. They can't be critiqued. And they're the wrong team members for you as well. I had a girl in 2008 when the GFC hit us and hit us hard. We were important. And I had about 11 40-foot containers on sea for the business I owned at the time.
Okay.
And I was overseas. I get all the news. GFC happened. I lose money on currency. I lose money on shipping. And I'm going to lose volume.
Yeah.
And my heart is crashing. And that particular girl at the time decided to go and put all the shipment on the most expensive shipping line available in the world in US dollars. Direct shipping, which is probably 4 times at the time than the normal shipping container was. So automatically, not just that I lost on the dollar, I lost on the shipping. But the coach in me, the nurturing person in me, I sat down and go, let's sit. When I got back from overseas and my heart is crashing, I said, let's sit together and go through the manual and see where did we go wrong. It could be that the manual is not clear enough. It could be, and I got nothing but defensive, and within 24 hours I had a resignation letter.
Wow.
So that person automatically cost me over 30 grand plus the losses that were about to unfold from the GFC. And she was just not open for criticism, no matter how much nurturing it was. So sometimes you just know you can't. You just chose wrong to start with. So it's the wrong person for you.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think at the end of the day, you do have to choose very carefully. And I think that a lot of companies, they do go through a lot of interview processes and try to find out, what if the person, what makes the person tick and everything else. And it's a good thing. But it's obviously a time-consuming component.
It is, but again, going back to training, how much it will cost you if you don't hire right? So there was a stock market company that approached us for leadership training, and at the same time they said, Oshi, we have another problem. And I said, what it is? He goes, 73% don't stay after 3 months. So the retention is poor.
Very
terrible,
poor.
terrible. And I said, do you mind if I sit through the interview process? And then I noticed that they're interviewing like a ABC of administrative hiring processes. It's right. It's perfect if you hire admin people. Now, stock market company, that particular one was like Wolf of Wall Street. You walk in, everyone in Gucci schmoochie, you have headphones on, people are screaming around. I reckon every second person looked like they could be a model. And the pressure was just unbelievable. And people throwing the football to each other, or there's a gong going every now and then. So you need specific people. So why are you hiring like you're hiring for a call center?
Yeah.
You need to put them in real case scenario on a couple of levels of interviews that mimics the environment they're about to live in.
Yeah.
And then you need to observe those activities to then decide who acted in the most appropriate way to take them in. So you needed to think outside the box in that regards. So how you hire is extremely important.
Yeah. A lot of moving components, like I said, and I think it all comes with experience as well, doesn't it? Though, like the longer you're in it, you're gonna make mistakes. Simple as that.
Absolutely, but learn from that. I was poor in university. I was sitting in classroom and I was literally Bart Simpson listening to blah 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 blah. Terrible. So be like me and the camera when you ask me to give a monologue. But when I've been asked to start this first company with overseas shareholders, I made so many mistakes and vouched never to make that mistake again. I made each mistake once, and luckily it wasn't that costly. But I sat down, dissected, learned from it, and wrote manuals based on that. It's like a little mini risk assessment. What can go wrong if you're putting 10 containers on Happy Gloat instead of CMI CGM?
Well, look, there is obviously
so it's
parts.
all those things.
That's right, yeah. There's always parts that you can't foresee, right? And there is always going to be something that will come up and say, hey, shit just happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How do I prevent it from happening
correct,
again?
yeah.
Do I go to a fetal position, or do I go, okay, let's dissect it and make sure it doesn't happen again? That was my best learning. So when I sold my shares in the company and I then decided what I wanted to do, I was a bit, I could have retired, I could have just do nothing, but it's only 40. And my husband, I remember, just came over and gave me all these notebooks, empty notebooks, and he goes, go back to writing. Write what you learned from the last 12 years in your business, and then go and teach other people so they don't need to make the mistakes you make.
Is that how BCG started, has it?
He was part of my focus group.
Yeah, right, okay.
So when everyone said, look, you've done really good marketing for that company, what about going to marketing? What about if you go into training? What about, and John said, what if you do the lot? Because you've done everything.
Yeah.
Why not do that? You took a company from zero in our kitchen into millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Teach people how to do it again. Because that was a very complex startup. Very complex.
I think, anything that you start from day dot, it needs your full attention. It needs your full... It's just your baby though, isn't it, at the end of the day? And just like your own kids, if you don't put the time and effort into them, you're going to be suffering when you're... Yeah, well, that's exactly right. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, Oshi. It was a huge, obviously, learning curve for myself. And if there's anything else you wanted to add, it's... It
was good. Cheers.
It was, all the best.
It was less,
thank you.
Worrying than standing in front of the camera and talking.
So hopefully you enjoyed this pre-recorded episode, and also I'm glad to have Oshi on my team. She's a fantastic resource, definitely wealth of knowledge over years and years, dealing with other businesses and obviously making other businesses successful as well. So so hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and see you on the next one. So if you have any questions, by all means give us a contact, give us a message. Oshi is Business Consult Group, and obviously 1by1media.com.au. By all means, talk soon. All the best.